Assalamu alaikum and welcome you all to this YouTube channel, The Science Magazine. Today in this lecture series, we will discuss about morphology of angiospermic plant. In part first, we introduced what is morphology, what are its types. Later on, we discussed the root system and its types based on its origin. Today, we will study the modifications of root system. Modifications of root system. As we all know that roots are underground parts of plant, the main function of root is anchoring or fixation, second mineral absorption and water absorption, third is prevention of soil erosion. When any part, whether root system or shoot system, changes its normal structure and performs any secondary function, we call them as modifications. When root system gets modified and performs any function other than anchoring, other than absorption of minerals and water, other than prevention of soil erosion, we call it root has modified, and such type of modification we call it as modification of roots. As we all know that roots are of two types. One is tap root system, and second is adventitious root system. Adventitious root system. As you all know, tap roots are those which develop from radical part of embryonal plant, while as adventitious roots are those roots which develop from any other part other than radical. This is seed embryonal part. Here develops epicotyle, this is hypocotyle, and this mass of cells, meristematic cells, this represents a radical and this represents plumule. From radical develops roots, from plumule develop shoots. Sometimes what happens, instead of radicular part, instead of radical, roots arise from any other part other than radical. We call them as adventitious roots or sometimes fibrous roots. Now we will discuss modifications. As you all know that modifications are the changes in normal structure to perform some secondary functions. Those secondary structures may be for storage, maybe for photosynthesis, maybe for respiration, maybe for mechanical support, and some others, even parasitic, right? First, we will start with taproot system. When taproot system normally performing fixation, absorption of minerals and water, and third, prevention of soil erosion, but sometimes gets modified and performs different functions. One is when it gets modified and performs the function of storage. We call them as fleshy roots. Second is nodulated roots. Third is nematophoric roots, nematophores. And finally, fourth is buttress roots. Buttress roots. That means this taproot system is of four types based on four types of modification. One is for storage, second is for nitrogen fixation, third is for gaseous exchange, and fourth is for mechanical support. First, we will discuss fleshy roots. Fleshy roots are of following types. Based on outer outlook or external morphology, fleshy roots have been delimited into following types. First is conical. Second is fusiform. Third is napiform. And finally tuberous. These all four types are meant for storing food, but their outer appearance is different. That is why they get different names. First is conical. From conical word we get an idea that it may be like this. This is the base of the root and tapers towards the apex of the root. When main root gets modified, stores food and bulges out from the base and narrowly tapers towards the base, form a cone-like structure. We call it as conical roots, right? What is conical roots? Those roots whose basal part gets bulged out and tapers narrowly towards the apex and form a cone-like structure. We call it as conical roots. Here leaves arise in such a way. You have got an idea which plant is this. It is commonly known as carrot. Scientific name is Daucus carota. Right? This is conical. Second is fusiform. This is a plant. This is its primary root. When this primary root gets modified into a spindle-like structure, we call it as fusiform. That means spindle-shaped. That means it bulges out at the center and tapers towards both sides. Tapers towards base as well as apex. Such type of roots for storage are called fusiform, and this type of root is reported in radish. Botanical name is Raphanus sativus. Third is napiform. Napiform. What happens? This is a normal plant. Its primary root gets modified, forming a structure like this. That means its basal part is bulged and tapers steeply towards the apex and form a tail-like structure or tadpole-like structure. We call such type of roots as napiform roots. Its example is turnip. Its botanical name is Brassica napus. Right? Finally, tuberous roots. When this is a plant, it develops roots and these roots get bulged out, form tuberous-like structures. That means roots get modified and perform function of storage but have irregular structure. We call them as tuberous roots. Example is Mirabilis jalapa. Right? Now nodulated roots. Some roots are in association with bacteria for nitrogen fixation. Such type of associations are known as symbiotic associations. When we see their roots, we show associations with bacteria. They have a typical structure. This is a plant and this is root structure. These roots show bulgings which are commonly known as nodules. In these nodules, bacteria resides and perform the function of nitrogen fixation. Those roots which get modified and perform the nitrogen fixation in association with bacteria and in outer appearance looks like nodules. We call them as nodulated roots, right? Third is nematophores. What happens in some areas, especially water-lodged areas, there is least availability of oxygen in water-lodged soils. Those plants which reside in these water-lodged areas develop such type of roots which emerge out of water or soil. For instance, this is a plant having root-like structure like this. Some of its roots come out of soil. Come out of soil and perform gaseous exchange. When roots come out of soil, come out of water and perform gaseous exchange, those roots are called nematophoric roots. These roots develop pore-like structures. These roots have pore-like structures through which oxygen enters into the roots. Those roots develop pore-like structures through which oxygen enters, and those pores are called nematodes. Example is rhizophora, usually found in mangroves. Mangroves are salt marshes. Now, buttresses. When root gets modified, move laterally and form plate-like or sheet-like structures that act as cushions to help to withstand the plant. These roots provide extra support to the plant, right? Example is rubber